Yeah. No, 5.6. Okay.
Oh. Did she get your? She got your 6. Rah.
I mean, I knew you would. Yeah, it's like, I mean, he's like,
You good? Yes. Okay. All right, guys. So we can talk about stuff from the practice test. We can talk about stuff from homework. Sure.
7.1. Number 9.
7.1.
Thank you. Let's see. Oh. So to get into that, somebody give me an example of a rational number.
4.
I love it. Fine, it's crazy. Give me a different type of number. That's a rational number also.
1.5.
Say again?
1.5.
1.5? Sure. 0.7? Sure. Anything that can be written as a ratio of integers, where the bottom's not 0. So this would be 4 to 1.
Yep.
Any overt fractions are rational. Any decimals that stop or have a pattern are rational because you can write them as a fraction. I like it. So the question is, which one of these is rational?
The left. The left.
Because what is the square root of 25?
5.
There you go. What is the square root of 30? 5 point something. It doesn't cut it in half. Right? It's a number that times itself as 30. I know 5 times 5 is 25, so square root of 30, a good guess would be 5.3 or something. Something a little more than 5. Does that make sense? Exactly. So, which one's rational? This one. That's not rational. If I said, tell me between what two whole numbers is square root of 30, it's obviously between 5 and 6. It's because it's between square root of 25 and square root of 36. You guys see how that works? So there were some homework problems that said just to do that. Some of you guys did it in the calculator. No. It didn't say to do that. It just said, tell me between what two whole numbers is this. How are we doing there? So if I said, between what two whole numbers would you find square root of 91? Well, what's right below 91 that you can actually do the square root of?
9.
So how do I figure out what I can do the square root of? 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. Those are square numbers. 8 times 8 is 9 times 9 is 81. So right below that square root of 81, that's 9. And right above it, 10 times 10 is square root of 100. So it's between 9 and 10. Square root of 91 is between 9 and 10 because 91 is between 81 and 100. So if you do that in the calculator, it's going to come out to be 9 point whatever. So there were some homework problems about that, being able to estimate what the answer is going to be, what it's between. All right, so you guys like that a lot. Okay. What's that? Sorry.
So what will be the answer?
I don't know. Look at the calculator. But the question was, I already told you the answer, because the question was, tell me between what two whole numbers is this? Between 9 and 10. Now, if your question is, what is this? Put it in the calculator. Right? I can't do much better, to be honest, with my brain. I can't do much better than it's somewhere between 9 and 10. I can take a guess, 9.4. I don't know. Hey, we got to do that to help us out?
No.
Jackie's already said no. She said, you should have brought your calculator. I'm not going to do anything. What was it, 91? 9.54. I got pretty close. But it's between 9 and 10. That's the important thing. I like it.
Obviously, it's going to be 9.
Bane. Can't do Bane now. It's been too long since I watched it. What do you? Okay. All right, where do you guys want to go now?
Everything. I'm just having trouble.
We can talk about everything. We can do that. One of everything.
I'm having trouble with like the word problem. I don't know. But like just like throughout 6.3 and just the word problems. I don't know.
All right. So which one are you looking at in 6.3, for example?
So like 6.4, I guess.
6.4.
to-
Okay.
Yeah, just that section. I don't know.
Which problem are you looking at?
Everything. So either one is fine.
So I guess we want you to realize these aren't word problems that.
I don't get it.
Problems with words.
Yeah. I know when I say that, students are like, "Ah, it's nice to play around with what you're saying." The word problem is where you have to come up with the equation yourself. These aren't really word problems. It's just a question of, do you know what to do with these numbers, right? Sure, they got a lot of words because they want to tell you the backstory to make it more real life.
I get lost.
So let's do an example of the different types that you saw in the homework. So there was this type of thing where it says file cabinet costs $250. This is from section 6.3, for example. $250. Sales tax rate is 6.85%. And you find the tax amount and the sale price. So this is not a word problem. We know, you got to know the process to follow, because this is sort of related to just being able to live in the world. We have problems where it's marked up, we have taxes, we have whatever discounts. We have to kind of know how to work with these things, or else people can just make money off of you all day long. You won't even know to check. So the file cabinet costs $250, but we're going to add on top of that tax. How do I figure out how much tax they're going to add on? Yeah, 6.85% of what? Of $250. Exactly. So of course, if it's a more expensive thing, there's going to be more tax,
Right.
but it's always going to be at the same rate. Oh, D. So then I take 6.85% of 250, and that's going to be the tax amount. So don't try to memorize formulas that the book kind of set up at any point or anything. This is just a process. Let this make sense on its own. How do I figure out how much tax? Well, I know the percentage, so I just take that percentage of what it is that I'm buying. Then I can see how much tax I got to pay. It's just like trying to calculate a tip you want to give to somebody. You calculate that the exact same way.
So we timed that together?
Yeah, you multiply those together.
Are we going to be able to use calculator for
Yes.
loan stuff like
Yes.
that?
Otherwise, this can't be a very long test if I'm going to make you do all this by hand. We've already had that test.
Yeah.
You already know if you can or can't do that. Hopefully you can, because the final's going to have a part without a calculator for damn sure. Don't look at me like that. I can't let you out of here if you can't do that. So part A is, what's the tax amount? Has anybody done that for me? 70?
17.125.
What is it?
17.125.
17.125. I like it. And you can make that 17.13 just to make it more like, human money.
So you move the decimal.
Yeah, you can't use the percentage number because it's not really the number. It's always moving it twice, right?
6 times.
Some of us still have some trouble with the percentages to decimals. You can't have that problem. You have to hit that straight on now. Get that taken care of. Come see me, see a tutor or something. It's always twice. Why? Because percentage means
Over 100.
out of 100.
100.
2 zeros. So it's always going to be moving back and forth by 2 places. So what do you do now for part B? I would say, what's the total cost?
You gotta add
Yeah, you just add what you just found
to the original. Yeah.
to the original. I like it. So see, that's not what I would call a real word problem. It's not, I want to make a garden that's in the shape of a rectangle. That's not, right? It's like, all right, go do it, Jeff. What the hell you want? You guys are free labor for me. I can't be calculating my stuff.
Okay, here's something real simple. At least it should be. I should know this. I shouldn't even be asking this question. Right, each rate has a unit rate. 12 hamburgers to 6 buns. I'm dividing that, correct?
Yes.
I just got to make sure I got it in my brain.
Yeah. So that is a
Oh, is that on this one?
that's a rate, right? Was that a problem up there? Yes.
Yeah.
Don't you just
Wait,
divide?
it's 12 buns to 6
12
burgers.
hamburger buns to 6 hamburgers.
Buns. It's 12 buns to 6 burgers.
You divide, right?
So 12 to 6, right?
Yeah.
That's the direct step from a ratio statement to a fraction, which is a ratio of numbers, right? And then you can reduce this if you want.
So,
I
yes,
don't know if I said one
you want
way.
to show the work by...
Oh, this is a unit rate.
Yeah.
So unit rate specifically means you must make the bottom become 1. So you must divide 12 by 6.
Yeah.
So what do you get when you do that?
2.
2.
Right.
2 what?
Buns.
2 buns
Two
Hamburger.
buns.
for every burger. It's time to go buy some more burgers. We're also going to have some really ready
So it's
I'll put that
no.
one.
burgers.
Reduce it down. Yeah.
Divide by 6, divide by 6. If you divide 12 by 6, the bottom is going to become 1. If you just divide the numbers, the bottom becomes 1. So a really good example of this is calculating gas mileage, right? So if you go 417 miles and you use, 19.1 gallons, how many miles per gallon does your vehicle get?
So you divide.
Like,
How we're doing that?
right? So it'd be 417 miles per 19.1 gallons. And that's where the whole idea of miles per gallon
You
comes
always
from.
put like
Miles per gallon.
you always put the first number on top and then the second number
Yep.
on the bottom.
Good. Or, if I say unit rate, that's got to have, for example, if I'm doing, which one was it?
I don't know.
Yeah, like number 2, identify the better buy.
Number 2.
You want to put the money on top of the amount. So you get a unit cost.
I thought you just had a multiply.
Oh, hell. We'll do that example.
No.
You guys with me on this though? I mean, that's where miles per gallon comes from, because it's miles per gallon. If I divide by 19.1, I'm going to make this become 1. So it's going to be per gallon, so I know how far I can go every gallon.
So you do that every single time? You divide, you make sure the bottom is equal.
When I say make it a unit rate, divide the number so the bottom becomes 1. That's why it's, the number 1 is called the unit. Like prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, the numbers that can only be 1 times itself. Composite numbers, you remember this, is like 4, because 4 is 2 times 2. 6, because 6 is 2 times 3. 1 is not either one of those. 1 is called the unit number. So when I say unit rate, it's called unit rate because you're making the bottom become 1. 1 unit. This is per 19.1 gallons. I want to know what it is per 1 gallon. 1 unit of liquid, of gas. So whatever you got there when you divide it. Which one? Oh, good.
Why are you pointing at me?
Because we were just talking about doing this.
Oh.
So what is unit cost? That's going to be the amount of money it costs per one thing. So it's always going to be money over amount of things, right? So
one, right? Yeah.
exactly. So 2A, I've got $1.82 per 8 eggs, right? So if I divide those, I see how much it takes for 1 egg. That's a unit cost. Because I can't compare $1.82 for 8 eggs. I can't compare that directly to $2.68 for 12 eggs. I just can't compare them. So if I make them both based on 1 egg, then I can compare them. And nowadays in the grocery store, you see the unit price on all these things, which is sort of a sad day for me because again, that was one of the few places people had to be forced to do math.
Where did you go for it?
Say again?
Where did you go for it?
Because it is $1.82 for 8 eggs, right?
I know it's fun.
Yeah, then you would be getting 64 eggs, right? $2.68 for 12 eggs. So how much is it for 1 egg in this first place, in this first deal? Divide. Just divide. Just do what this says. Right? It says 182 divided by 8. That's what that says. So what's $1.82 divided by 8? Take it out to like, I didn't say here, but you always want to take it out at least 3 places so you can compare. Because if you get 23 cents versus 23 cents, they look the same to me. But if you take it one more place out, probably going to be different.
0.227.
227?
Yeah. 2275.
2275?
Yeah.
Sure. And then what about this guy?
0.223333.
223, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Can you guys tell which one's the better buy?
Doesn't matter.
$2.
This one's the better buy. Because it takes less money for an egg. Right?
Yeah, they kind of trick you by looking at it, though.
But do you see what I'm saying? That's the smaller number, so it takes less money per egg, so this one's the better buy. So I know some of you guys are thinking, well, that's not really all that different, but if I'm like working at a restaurant, and I got to buy thousands and thousands of eggs, this savings will add up very quickly.
So what you're saying, instead of trying to work the 8 eggs out, always break it down to 1 unit.
Because now I can compare.
Now it makes sense.
Right? Do you guys see what I'm saying? So, this is $1.82 for 8 eggs. This is $2.68 for 12 eggs. Can I just look at those and tell which one's better? No. But if I make them both per 1 egg, now I can directly compare. Now they're both talking about the same amount. I can see which one's better.
Okay. Something wrong. Now I'm lost now for real.
What happened?
I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so what are you comparing the 182? $1.82?
So this is, let's say this is deal 1, right?
Right.
This is deal 1, and this is deal 2. So deal 1 egg costs me just under 23 cents, right? 22.7 cents. Right? It costs me this much. Deal 2, 1 egg costs me this much. Which one is better? Which one do I have to pay less for? This one.
Right, I'm understanding that, but what I'm saying is
That's
what
it.
you divide the 1 egg by the $1.80.
Where does the 1 egg come from?
So
To get the 20.
if I divide this by 8 and this by 8, then I get 1, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
But I really want you to notice, so then that just means divide this by this. If I divide this by this, I am dividing both by 8, so I will end up with 1. Just divide this by this.
Right.
That makes the bottom become 1. You have to think about it, because what will you divide 12 by to make 1? 12. So then you better divide this by this. Well, then you'll always divide this by this. That's how you make the bottom become 1. I like it. I like it. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Can you do 8?
8?
Yeah, anyone.
Oh, sorry, let me see. So I had a problem like this. If I said 7.2 is 3% of what, for example? How can I set that up?
0.7.
Okay, guys. What's the percent number up there?
3.
3. So that's the one that needs to change. This is just poor little 7.2. Don't make it become 0.072. That's the one that's hiding something, right? That's why I change it, because 3% is hiding the fact that it's being divided by 100. So I make it honest. It's like, come here, you're not 3, you're 0.03.
Yeah.
This is just 7.2, just sitting there. He's honest. So 7.2 is good times x, because I don't know what that is. Of means multiply, right? Percentage of, fraction of, it means multiply. There are other ways to do this problem. So if you know a different way to do this problem and it makes sense to you and you like doing it, do it that way. It's great. But to me, this is the clearest way to do it, honestly.
Yeah, so that's the final answer, right?
No. I don't know. It's not the final answer because I don't
you gotta
have.
multiply by that.
I don't have x by itself.
Blah, blah, blah.
So then, how do I get x by itself?
Divide by 2.3.
Yes, I like it.
What number is that?
That's a 3. Yeah, that's a good 3 for me. So don't ask for more from me.
It kind of looks funny. I'm blind.
Okay.
So you just, okay.
So now, stay with me for a second. I mean, there's a whole other level to this kind of problem. 3% of 100. If I ask you what 3% of 100 is, you've got to let that be remarkably simple. 3% means 3 out of 100. So what is 3% of 100? 3. What's 17% of 100? 17. What's 28% of 100? 28. Do you guys follow?
Yeah.
Because percent means that much out of 100. So if I have 100 things and I say, well, I want 7% of them, I'm going to get 7 things. That's 7% of 100. It's 7. So watch. 3% of 100 is 3. 3% of 200 will be, we can do this. Yeah, 3% of 100 is 3. Stay with me now. 3% of twice that must be twice that. 6. We're getting close to 7.2, right? So does it make sense? The answer is 240. Yes. It's a little more than 3% of 200 would have been 6. So 3% of 240 will be a little more than 6. So the answer actually makes sense. Do you actually have to be able to do anything I just did to do this kind of problem? No. But the more you're able to do the kind of thing I just did, the deeper understanding you have and the easier this kind of stuff is. So this is like the ones we did earlier.
What is the root?
Oh, it's another name for radical. It's another name for, like, what is the symbol? That is the
Square root.
square root. We have to know how to say this symbol. This is the square root symbol. So when I say the roots, I'm talking about find the answer. So estimate the roots. Square root of 13, what is it between? That you can actually do the root of. So a really good thing for you guys to do. 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9.
Okay.
4 squared is
So on and so forth.
5 squared is. And you should keep going.
Okay.
So now, where's 13 in between? So it's in between the square root of 9 and the square root of 16. So the answer would be in between 3 and 4. Do you guys see how to do that?
So you
If
don't
only it was square root of 9, the answer would be 3. If only it was square root of 16, the answer would be 4. But it's in between, so the answer must be in between. That's
3.5.
something. Yeah, exactly. Sure. But if you actually plug in the calculator now, you'll see that, sure enough, it's between what you thought it would be. Should be 3 point something.
Wait, so you don't look at the square roots of like 14 and then 13.
Because what is the square root of 14?
Okay.
I have no idea.
Never mind.
I want to compare it to a square root that I can do. And then another square root that I can do, so then I know it's between those two nice whole numbers.
Okay.
Square root of 14 sucks as much as square root of 13 does.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
Jeff, go with the number, just please. Please.
Well, I just did
Oh, you just did?
2a.
Two.
So, yes. We can't. We did. Yes, we did. Let me be clear. No? Obama? No? That was bad. I understand. It's fine.
Go with your number 4.
Number 4.
So,
Oh, I had a cool book there.
there's no single, like, perfectly correct process to go through. There's multiple ways you can get from a fraction to a decimal to a percent. So if I know that fraction is 3/5, what's special about that fraction that gives me sort of a shortcut? And if you don't remember, then you just have to do it the long way, which is divide 5 into 3.
Divide.
But I'd much rather just realize I can make it something out of...
You have to multiply by 20.
Okay, yeah, sure.
What?
If you multiply by 20, what do you get?
6 out of
So this is the fraction, this is the decimal, and this is the percent. So then what percent is this? 60 out of 100 is what percent? What does out of 100 mean? What does percent mean?
6
Out of 100. So 60 out of 100 is 60%. Okay. So if I know something is out of 100, it's that percent. So if I have a fraction that I can make the bottom become 100, the top is going to be my percent answer. It's just sitting there looking me in the face saying, hey, I'm the answer. If the bottom was 7, screw it. I'm going to divide by 7. I got to. Oh well. And then I can make a decimal, and then I can move the decimal over. So how do I go from percent to decimal now? Move the decimal back. I like it once, twice. 1 6. So that last one, that 3/16. That's the last one on there, right? The number 4?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Make that into a decimal for me.
5.3. Whoops.
I don't know. Six, 5, 6.1875. Can't remember now. What is it, Jeff? Yeah, 0.187.
Cheater.
Did the work already. Yes, exactly. So you got to do 16 into 1, 16, 14, bring down to 0. This will be 8. 8 times 16 is 128. Bring down to 0. This will be 7. 7 times 16 will be 112. 5 times 16 is 80. I know I did that quickly, but we should all know how to do long division.
I don't. Apparently.
So that's the decimal for this. 0.1875 is a decimal. So how do I make that into a percentage?
Where's the decimal?
Right there.
Oh.
So move it over. Bam, bam. 2.75% away. Now. Let me make a connection. Somebody help me out. Do this. What is 18.75% of 16? There it is, Jeff. You can do it. What is 18.75% of 16? That's a problem. You should be like, give me a lot of those, Jeff. Because all you got to do is write this the right way, and then of means multiply. Yeah. Yes. 18.75% of 16. No. What's happening? What is 18.75% as a number? That's not a number yet. So it's 0.1875, right? What happened? 18.75% is 0.1875, right?
Yes.
Because you moved the decimal back twice. Right.
Right.
Times 16. Sorry, 16. That comes out to be 3. Now. Do you see how that relates to what this was originally?
Yeah.
3 parts of 16 represents 18.75% because 18.75% of 16 would be 3 parts. I mean, that's what it means. So we really are transforming this into out of 100. It's just not going to be a pretty number out of 100. It's just ugly 18.75 out of 100, but still. It's just a better way for humans to really think about it. I can't say, well, 3/16. I understand better if somebody said almost 20%. I'm like, oh, okay, I get a picture of that. I can kind of see what that is. 1/5 of a pie, 20% of something. So what skills do you need to have? You have to know on the fly how to go from percent to decimal. You got to know when you need to do that, right? You have to change to a decimal before you start doing math with it, because the math needs it to be the actual number. That's the number, that's the representation that we use to make it easier for us to look at. That is the actual truth. We just made up the idea of percent to make the number easier to look at. And now that decision a while back makes it hard on us to freaking learn this shit, right? But oh well, I got to go back in time and yell at these people.
Okay.
Oh, number 5, update.
Oh yes.